to record. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Arielle Foster, and I'm here today with the extraordinary Nicole Tranchina, and I wanted to introduce you, the world, to her because she has so many great skills, and she works alongside me a little bit within my Happy and Well physical therapy and yoga clinic as like an extender, seeing patients and yoga students in their homes in Maryland. So Nicole is a certified yoga therapist, first and foremost. That's where her heart really lies these days. She's also, and this is one of the things that really impresses me about her, a licensed physical therapist assistant, which is a 2-year degree above and beyond her bachelor's degree. And so she's got a lot of the kind of common sense anatomy know-how that I also got in my physical therapy program. She's a yoga instructor in the sense that she's also completed a yoga teacher training. And of course, upon that, she's built so much more. She is finally also a candidate in the master's degree, for a master's degree in clinical nutrition. And so she has like the physical therapy, the yoga therapy, the nutrition all in one. And you can see why I'm really impressed by her. And I thought we'd do a quick chat today to introduce you to her in case you want Nicole to come to your home to offer private yoga or to do online video or just to be seen for yoga therapy. So let's go for it. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for being here with me. One of the first questions I had for you, and this is actually pretty exciting for me to get to know a bit more of your story, your backstory, rather than just your accomplishments. The first question I have is, what has been a pivotal moment for you in terms of your connection to yoga or yoga therapy? And it can be more than one if you have more than one.
Well, what got me into yoga to begin with, I had a bit of a dying experience in my early 20s, and that led me to wondering, kind of questioning, curiosity about what that was that I experienced. And that led me to yoga, which led me to India to do my first 200 hours of training. I came back, I was teaching yoga, and I was a physical therapist assistant. And I discovered the profession of yoga therapy. And that was just a perfect blend that I wanted to bring together, that kind of Eastern and Western approach to healing and working with the spiritual, emotional, and the physical elements of healing. And so I went through an accredited yoga therapy program, Inner Peace Yoga Therapy, and yeah.
You said it really quickly, but are you saying that you had a near-death experience?
I did, yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't have to go into detail if you don't want to, but like, this happened after you were already a physical therapist assistant?
This happened, let me think back. No, this happened before I was a physical therapist assistant.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, early 20s. I became a physical therapist assistant in my late 20s. And then right a year after that, I traveled to India, journeyed there. Mm-hmm.
That's really powerful. Yeah. I think for those of us who, I wouldn't say that I've had a near-death experience, but I think, you know, on any given day, one of the meditations that resonates with me the most is really being in contemplation of my own mortality. And it's been a huge gift for me to be in the healthcare realm, to work with people of all ages, including end stages of life, or after very, very sincerely big accidents or strokes, to be in meditation with our own mortality. That's been one of the biggest lessons from my profession.
It is, that experience definitely changed perspective in life and purpose and what you strive for. And also, because I've worked with that population as well, transitioning out, and you can relate to that a little bit easier, or sit with them a little bit more comfortably.
Yeah. So just to be clear, like for those who are watching, Nicole was a specialist to some extent, working with the majority geriatric population as a PTA. That's so powerful. I think that some of the people who are watching this or listening to this may not know the difference between yoga and yoga therapy. Do you have any key succinct ways that you think of the difference between the two of them?
I think yoga, when you go to a yoga class, the main focus is on asanas, which is the physical movement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yoga therapy is more individualized for the person, and it takes in various methods. And asana may be one of them, but it's just more accessible to majority of the population. And it's really about bringing that person to a relaxed state of mind and body as the main goal.
Yeah, yoga, I suspect as the public, the general public knows it, is focused on poses, is focused on what happens in yoga studios. And it does seem that the majority of that, even though quite a few yoga studios offer meditation, offer book clubs, offer philosophy in their teacher trainings and in-depth workshops, still the public vision of what yoga is and really just scratches the surface in terms of the physical. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I know for me that um, yoga therapy, even though in a certain way it's more specific than the idea of yoga, I think in another way it's also kind of broader, kind of like what you're saying, like the general population thinks of yoga. If I say I'm going to be teaching a yoga class, there's a certain expectation of what's going to happen. If I say I'm going to be guiding us through yoga therapy, it's almost like I have this blank canvas, because
Very true.
within that, and there are certainly downsides to this as well, but within that yoga therapy concept, you could access the psycho emotional, the physical, the a given disease process, an energetic approach, an Ayurvedic approach. There's so much. And so in a certain way, even though in a way it's more narrow, it's also more broad.
Absolutely. Well said. Very well said.
Um, I know that you transitioned, and congratulations on this, by the way, but you've transitioned from a few years ago being a full-time physical therapist assistant,
Mhm.
doing the yoga on the side, to being spending more and more of your time now as a full-time yoga therapist.
Mhm.
What are, and of course also a student, you'll be finishing up your degree in about 9 months or 10
Thank
months.
goodness.
So what are some of the transformations that you've seen in your clients over that time? And it could be simple, it could be something big, but what are some of the ways in which you think that your skill set in particular helps people?
Actually, I have two pretty amazing, phenomenal stories that I was recent, about 6 months ago. One client I started working with had knee pain,
Mm-hmm.
and she was scheduled to have a total knee replacement next month. And she all of a sudden said, "I'm not in any pain." And she pushed herself. She didn't wear a brace. She picked up her grandchild. She moved around. She intentionally did a lot of things to see if she would have knee pain, and she didn't have it. So she, for now, canceled it and said, "If I need it, eventually I will get it. But right now, why get it when I'm not in any pain and I can do all these things?" That was first. I thought that was an amazing result. The second amazing result, client, again, we've been working with him for 6 months. He's lost 22 pounds. His blood sugar has become more stabilized, and his doctor cut his medication in half. Isn't that amazing?
It's unreal.
Some
Unreal.
like non-invasive,
Yeah.
holistic tools that can either do, that cannot do any harm.
Yeah.
Is amazing.
Yeah. That's extraordinary. Um, yeah, I want to also give props to those clients, because you know that when people have that kind of amazing change, that
Mhm.
um, I don't know, like this is almost the reverse of what I'm saying, how awesome you are, but I'm also saying that like our clients, like if we get on the same wavelength as them, or patients, students, clients, that those kinds of transformations can happen organically and in a way
Absolutely.
like I almost don't take credit for them, And in a way,
Absolutely.
I also know that I'm just like laying down the little bricks on the path. And it's
We,
so much fun to do
we
that.
facilitate the healing that's inside of them to come out.
That was gorgeous. Yeah, exactly. Well, you sound like you've been doing some really stellar facilitation. That sounds amazing. I I think I want to say two things about that. So for people out there who do need surgeries, even if you are capable of delaying a major surgery, and that's not always the best choice, but in some cases, if you can delay a surgery, for example, this would definitely be a recommendation for somebody who's in their 50s, to, if they were looking at having a knee replacement, if you can delay a surgery by a year, 2 years, 5 years, you have two advantages over someone who's not delaying that surgery. Advantage number one is that there are constant refinements in the surgical techniques and um, the the
Joint,
prosthetics that are used,
yeah,
the false joints that are used. Now, I wouldn't say constant as in there's a new revolution happening in that every year, because that's not the case, but there are little refinements that are happening, and you'll be able to also have the time to kind of shop around and develop a relationship perhaps with a surgeon who can really tell you when the time is right to do that, or can help guide you intelligently when the time is right to do that. And the second thing is, if you can delay a surgery especially by 5 years or something, what happens is that our original body parts, so far humans haven't figured out a way to make body parts, false body parts, prosthetics, as good as the original parts. And so they're
right.
always going to wear out. And the timeline on that is usually around 20 years, sometimes 25. So if you get it done at age 50 or age 55, you're looking at another replacement at a time in your life where you're probably most likely going to be significantly more vulnerable.
Mm.
So if you can delay it, you might get to keep it until the end and avoid a second surgery. So that's really, even if you look at it through that lens, you can see what a big deal it is that this woman has been able to postpone. I think you said it was a woman who's able to postpone
Yeah,
surgery. And
yeah,
then I was just reminded today of Dr. Dean Ornish and all of the research he did starting in the 1980s. And he was actually, with some pretty simple interventions, nutritional and yoga interventions, capable of showing on a large scale, like a very significant long-term study, that we can reverse heart disease.
heart disease, cardiac disease, yes.
So yeah, for those of you watching, if you don't have a good team member who can help you to manage stress, get your body moving, guide you gently in the direction of cleaner nutrition, or even just to look at some of the patterns that might boomerang you back to the dessert or the like heavy foods or something, maybe the ones that are
Right.
not quite as good for you. Get a team on your side, and I highly recommend it. As a parting question, do you have any
Sure.
top tips for people who are watching who want to maybe integrate yoga or yoga therapy more into their lives?
One, schedule it. Put it in your schedule. If you
Yeah,
write it down and you incorporate, you're going to say, okay, I have to have this meeting at this time, but this is a, and it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. If you find a little short video that you can do that you like online, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you're good. You got it in.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. I think perfection is the enemy of the good. And when it
Yeah.
comes to self-care, it's just one foot in front of the other, and the little things add up. There's also a really good analogy in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that, I really, really recommend it. I'll put the link below. That is that concept of compound interest. You don't get to see when you put a penny away a day how it adds up and how the interest that you're making on it every year accumulates, but it's just a penny a day. It's just a change from your pocket, but it's so powerful. And yoga and self-care are the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Anything
definitely.
else?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. You are tremendous. I really want to congratulate you on all the all of your accomplishments. And thank you for working with me and seeing
Of course.
clients. And for those of you who are interested in perhaps scheduling a session with Nicole, she is available on video chat, kind of like the chat that we're doing right now, as a consultant in her capacity as a yoga therapist or as a yoga teacher. And she is soon going to be have a master's, as I said, in clinical nutrition. So she can also begin to start to integrate that piece of wisdom into her yoga teachings.
Mhm.
And the way to book or to schedule will be in the notes below, in the link below. I'm going to link to both Nicole's website so you can read more about her. And also, if you want to meet in person with her, you can book through my system if you'd like. So I'll put all of that information below. She's in Silver Spring, Rockville, Maryland, and Bethesda, Maryland for the most part. But if you're nearby, you can always
Mhm.
check in with me or with Nicole and see if your location would also be good for her. She goes to homes for private yoga sessions and physical therapy or yoga therapy sessions, excuse me.
Yes.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.